According to multiple reports, Washington's Kalen DeBoer appears headed to Tuscaloosa to become Alabama's next head coach and Nick Saban's replacement. I'm going to talk about it, including my one concern. Let's talk about it after the stinger. It's Felix Sharp at Sharp Review on Twitter for CampusToCanton.com. I hope you like the content. I hope you like what we're putting out here daily, keeping you updated on everything in college football. The reason we're doing it is because it matters to us. We know these names because we're playing in Campus to Canton fantasy leagues that incorporate college and NFL players, and so we need to know who's who. That's why it matters. If you want more information, go ahead and click the link. By the way, in the description box. By the way, while you're at it, we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers here, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on this video so we can grow. Washington's Kalen DeBoer is headed to Alabama, according to multiple reports. By the time you watch this video, he may have already told his team, the team, that he had plans to go to Tuscaloosa to take the job. If you are in the college fantasy space, you are already familiar with Kalen DeBoer. I remember listening to Josh Pate saying that people don't know who Kalen DeBoer is on a show here recently. Well, we do, because Kalen DeBoer has been putting up points for a very long time, really since 2014, and I'm going to go through that history here shortly. But in the college fantasy space that we operate in, Kalen DeBoer is a name that you want to attach players to. Get the players on Kalen DeBoer's roster. Listen to why. In 2014, when he became the offensive coordinator at Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti. By the way, people in Ypsilanti, stop saying that you're from Detroit. You're from Ypsilanti. When he got to the school, his first season there, they ranked 125th in the country out of 128 FBS teams in offense. By the time he left, 61st. I'm not really good at math. That's a really decent jump. In 2017, he had two stints at Fresno State, 2017 and 2018. His first season in 2017, 77th in the country in points per game. When he left, 26th in the country in points per game. I'm going to get to some of those statistics here in a second. 2019, remember Michael Penix Jr. breaking out 2019, 43rd in the country at Indiana. At Indiana, 43rd in the country in points per game with over 32 points per game. That was the first time we really saw Michael Penix Jr. kind of break out, taking over for Peyton Ramsey for that Indiana Hoosiers team. 2021 and 2022, this is where it kind of gets ridiculous, where he is his second stint for Jeff Tedford, taking over as the offensive coordinator for Fresno State. Was he the offensive coordinator or head coach? Correct me in the comments there. 2021, they were 30th in the country in points per game with 30. And then he let in 2021, 26th in the country in points per game with over 33 points per game. And then, of course, his last two seasons at Washington, 2022 and 2023. Last year, 6th in the country in points per game, and reuniting with Michael Penix Jr. last year, 13th. Michael Penix Jr., Heisman Trophy candidate, Rome Odunze, Blitnikoff Award finalist, Jalen McMillan-Hurt, still an excellent wide receiver, Jalen Polk, the third wide receiver on that team, considered to be a high-end NFL draft pick. But you look at what he's done with less talent. I mean, when you think about the best coaches in the country, Nick Saban, Steve Sarkisian, Lincoln Riley, those guys have had elite recruiting classes at the skill positions. Kalen DeBoer hasn't had those guys, but he's still had guys who have become NFL players and high-end college producers because of his offenses. In that 2017 season, Marcus McMaryion for Fresno State throws for over 3,600 yards, 25 touchdowns to just 5 TDs. Running back Ronnie Rivers was a dual threat nightmare at Fresno State. By the way, speaking of Detroit, Ronnie Rivers, the son of Ron Rivers, former backup running back for Barry Sanders in the 90s. That's Ron Rivers' son, Ronnie Rivers, who's now with the LA Chargers, I believe, as an undrafted free agent. Keyshawn Johnson, not that Keyshawn Johnson, K-E-E Keyshawn Johnson, who had a stint with the Arizona Cardinals, 1,300 yards receiving under Kalen DeBoer. Jay Kaner, the guy who went down and beat UCLA on one leg, becomes a fifth-round draft pick for the New England Saints, a cast-off of Washington, by the way, that Kalen DeBoer picked up and turned him maximized his talent. Jalen Cropper, I know Jalen Cropper, the freshman wide receiver there under Kalen DeBoer, he had excellent production under Kalen DeBoer. I know he's in the NFL somewhere. I can't remember where. Do you remember Ty Freifogel, Whop Phillier, Peyton Hendershot in Indiana? Those guys, going up against Ohio State in 2020. Now, Kalen DeBoer, I don't think he was not actually there in that 2020 COVID game, but still, under his offenses, those guys had excellent seasons. Of course, I've already mentioned Roma Dunze, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk. This guy produces offense wherever he is. So if you are an Alabama fan, you have to love what you are getting as far as schematically. Are we going to see some of his players transfer from Washington to Alabama? Some guys I'm thinking of, Will Rogers just joined the team. Austin Mack from Folsom. Folsom is in the news because of Jake Browning for the Cincinnati Bengals is having an excellent season, backing up Joe Burrow, coming in for relief for Joe Burrow. Austin Mack went to Folsom, had excellent season there. He's actually an early declare to join Washington. Do we see Austin Mack transfer? Will Rogers. Tybo Rogers, the running back there, who was coming in for Dylan Johnson. Jeremy Bernard, who was at Michigan Player of the Year out of Nevada and then Michigan State and transferred to Washington. We expected him to be the next man up there. Do we see him transfer? So do we see some of those players transfer? If there's one concern that I have, and there's really only one concern that I have for Kalen DeBoer, is this a Brian Harsin situation? Brian Harsin at Auburn, who all of his time in coaching was really spent on the West Coast. He didn't have any familiarity with the SEC, with the South. As much as I love Kalen DeBoer, and I do love Kalen DeBoer, he was left out of way too many top 10 coaching lists this last year. He does not have familiarity with the SEC, with the South, with Alabama. He's been in the West Coast. He's been in the Midwest. It doesn't mean that he's not a great coach. He just doesn't have familiarity recruiting there, doesn't have the track record of success in that area. That would be my one and only concern as far as Kalen DeBoer. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you concerned about Kalen DeBoer not having a history with the SEC, with the South, recruiting there, succeeding there? Or is not something you care about? Let me know how you feel about this hire, this potential hire. It hasn't broken just yet, but it seems like it's going to happen. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 3,000. Peace.